And so it begins. Fuck, I can't hear you. Hold on. Oh, okay, now I can.
God.
Let me find wherever the fuck I put my, thing. So is it working?
Yeah, it says the stream is in good health. It is going. So I'm just gonna switch it over from unlisted to public.
Where the hell did I put it?
Let's hope the streaming curse does not return. Do.
Fuck.
I'm gonna guess you just got up.
Maybe.
Oh god, I just hurt myself.
Bam.
Look at that luscious, creepy forest.
Bam.
Greetings, Kushrada.
Okay, there we go. We're good.
Dark part of the forest. A zap! I love it.
Alright.
I don't really have a structure in mind for this. It was more just going to be a chill discussion because I totally didn't just binge all of your rewrite videos in one go.
It's very interesting because I had nothing planned as well. I actually did just wake up at 3:05 p.m.
On the dot.
Like on the dot. Like it was 2:58 p.m. and you said, "Are you there?" I'm like, "Oh, fuck."
It's okay.
So
I slept until myself. I can't sleep.
Okay, so fucking RWBY rewriting. What did you start out with the other guy, Celtic? Was there any sort of like structure and shit?
We just wanted to go back and forth between each of our different volumes. Like talking about what he did for volume 1 and what I did for volume 1, any questions we had. But I think my main point of interest is that our main goal was to kind of stay true to the original. You kind of just took the foundation and did something completely different with it, which interesting because you wanted to make it a war story, correct?
Yeah, so I wanted to make it some sort of like well, I really want to make it some sort of war anime that used to be some sort of like slice of life sort of thing. So it's sort of like if you were to describe it in one sentence, it would be like shit went down.
I
So
see.
like Red Dawn.
And it is also kind of interesting because, you know, they call it the Great War, so you would expect World War II to start rolling around and, oh god, no, not the RWBY Nazis.
Yeah, yeah. That is pretty interesting. I could add some Nazis, you know.
Fits the
I
bill
already
quite
have
well.
ISIS.
Yeah, you do!
I already
Well,
have ISIS, I could add Nazis.
I mean, it does make sense because in canon, the White Fang just randomly morphed into ISIS.
Um, yeah, I guess. You could describe it as that.
I mean, Gira and Blake are like Martin Luther King Jr., and then Sienna's Malcolm X, and then all of a sudden you have Adam as ISIS.
Yeah, I did sort of love that, see, I always thought of, like, the White Fang as being some sort of, like, Black Panther, Malcolm X sort of thing, whereas, like, we haven't yet seen the KKK of RWBY yet, or, like, what they're protesting against, or maybe the KKK will be, like, the counter-protest against the fucking Faunus. So, in Volume 6, I really want to see some sort of, like, human supremacy group.
Because the show has not handled Faunus prejudice all that well, it's trying to do it retroactively. I just want something to justify the White Fang's existence.
Other than a bunch of just mildly angry animals.
Because you won't let us into this one... What even was it? Like a tea shop?
I think so. I'm not sure.
The bartender seemed like an asshole anyway.
So it said Infinity War is the most ambitious crossover in history.
God damn, fucking right, we are the best crossover.
God. I have no fucking plan though, so this is a mess.
Fine, it's fine. My life is a mess. That's what the viewers want.
26 watching, cool.
Yes, thank you all for tuning in. I'm just going over my list of notes. I am interested to see, because you said volume 1 is basically the first 3 original volumes mashed into one, so we're kind of similar on that point.
Yeah, that was actually a point that I really liked Fat Man Falling for making when Volume 3 ended. He said that Volume 3 was basically just the end of the first volume because of all of the information that we got in Volume 3. It's the stuff we should have gotten in the first volume in general, and the first 3 volumes really, like, it feels like they didn't... I don't fucking know. It's really weird trying to go back and think about stuff that you...
Because, like, a lot of Volume 3 stuff that was gonna happen, like the Fall of Beacon and the Maiden stuff, I think was originally meant to be in Volume 2.
Really?
Yeah, and I think they held off on it probably for budgetary reasons, but I'm kind of glad they did because sooner I don't think it would have had the same impact, i.e. traumatizing the entire internet.
Oh yeah, definitely. You gotta build that shit up.
Blizzard covered this in its Volume 5 video, where, like, Volume 3 worked because it had 2 dry volumes in front of it for build-up.
Yeah, dries to say the fucking least. I mean...
Fun, but, like, nothing happened.
Yeah.
At least we got fun jokes, like, I drink milk.
And Bumblebee references.
My shit.
I hate Bumblebee.
I will fight you.
Alright, so I have some pictures here. It's like those MS Paint fucking pictures that I put on my Discord channel. It's basically just to help better describe, like, RWBY more. This is the lore map. Oh god, that is a small... That is very low definition. Okay. This one. Wherever it is. Okay. So this is Remnant, right? I made this. I forget what fucking website this was.
Oh, it looks like Incarnate.
Yeah, Incarnate. Um, so I'm just going to assume that the majority of the viewers here don't really know that much about RWBY because I'm gonna guess that they're your viewers mainly. Um,
Basically everyone. Muffin Man Dan created his own rewrite of RWBY, but he fundamentally changed everything.
that it? That's it.
Basically what.
Okay. Okay. So the map. So Jesus Christ. The lore is that basically everything's fucking different. Everyone's older, and the huntsmen and huntresses have a different importance, which I think that in my rewrite, the fact that the huntsmen and huntresses have a different meaning is like night and day, because it's all about clarification with all this shit. It's all about clarification whether or not like people actually have governments and militaries and laws and shit like that, because throughout like several parts of volumes 4 and 5, we're just like, is there even like a government out in the middle of fucking nowhere, or are these just city states, or are they actually countries? So that's sort of like why I have such an obsession with making these countries run and act like actual fucking countries that are like super militaristic. It's gonna basically be like, what if you took Earth right now, gave it a bunch of magic shit, and rearranged the continents and put Grim on it? I really one thing that I never announced though was the outfit changes. I am changing the outfits for like everyone, because I don't like the idea of people fighting in like fucking corsets and dresses and stuff. I want them to be going around fighting in like really casual clothing and shit. Like I said, I want it to be like it's fucking 2018 Earth, just in a different place. So I want people to be fighting with like I don't know, just like standard fucking jeans and a sweatshirt and shit sometimes. So like John is gonna be like the main. He's not gonna be like standing out, because Jean is like the most simple fucking outfit. He's like, oh, jeans and a hoodie and some sneakers. So yeah, like
He's
someone
the
just
one
said
normal
in
guy.
chat, functional combat uniforms. I don't know where I was going with that. Progress, lore, the aura is one of the biggest things where I'm like, aura has to stay the same. Oh my god, Laura is here. Hi, Laura. But yeah, aura. Did I just say it has to stay the same? No, aura has to fucking change. It has to change to something.
It does change in the show constantly.
Yeah. Believe me, it does fucking change. Aura will have to be activated. Sort of like how people in Dragon Ball Z have to activate their Super Saiyan. So it's like, before you go into battle, you just turn on your aura and everyone's looking really fucking cool, turning on their like glowing shit, stuff like that. This is, I don't like the idea of a passive aura, because it's like, I want people to get sniped sometimes. Like, one of my biggest things for like volume 4 was that I thought that it was going to turn into Game of Thrones after volume 3. I thought that people were going to start dying like crazy, and I was looking up all these hints as to how characters would die, and I thought that Coco was going to die by getting sniped because her symbol was like a crosshair or something. So I'm like, no way, that can't happen. That can't happen. There's aura. So like, she's just going to be walking down the street one day and just get domed. So, you know, I want that to happen in RWBY. As a matter of fact, that might happen in RWBY. Verbatim. So don't get attached to Coco. However, I'm gonna draw our attention back to the map. So as you can see, we have quite a few changes here on the fucking map, dude. We have so the yellow. I don't know how the original borders were, but I think that we've expanded the borders for Vacuo. The yellow is Vacuo, green is Veil, blue is Atlas, purple is Mistral, and then you can see there's a bit of a situation happening in Menagerie, which we're going to be discussing, like, in a minute. But the black, the plague, this big, just death on the Dragon Continent, and making its way onto the main thing. Yeah. That is the Grim Horde. That is Grim territory. They cross the ocean, and they're really difficult to get rid of. The Dragon Continent used to be owned by people, but now they did, boy. You can see that Veil sort of owns like a little tiny island on there. When it comes to the yeah, it can't. Like, you look over and you see all the fire and shit on the Dragon Continent or whatever the hell the Grimm are up to.
The volcano next door.
Yeah. This is the political map mode. I actually made it, geographic, or whatever it's called, a topographical map, or whatever. Or, yeah, topographical. Where it's like the coastline, where the bay is actually like habitable because like the huntsmen are there and shit, so it's like a beachhead. It's fucking like Normandy beach shit right there. They're on the Dragon Continent, but just barely, and they're trying to make their way through to the heart of the continent. But the rest is just like a barren wasteland.
You mentioned there were like tons of volcanoes with that Ichor stuff spawning Grimm constantly.
Yeah, so it's easier said than done.
Love that image.
Very easier said than done. Because for people who don't know, that shit at the end of Volume 3 where, like, that Grim dragon flies by and spawns a bunch of Grim out of its oozing black shit, we're gonna have volcanoes filled with that shit. We're gonna have entire volcanoes on the Dragon Continent, and it's just gonna be erupting Grim spawning stuff. That's how much Grim we're dealing with. And that's the big reason why, you know, we can't defeat these literal millions, maybe even billions of Grim. As opposed to the show where one of my biggest pet peeves was we would only see, what, like 10 Grim at a time? You know?
And they were very easy to defeat for students.
Yeah. And other than that, you got, like, you know, the more elite Grim, but they wouldn't show up with, like, numbers or anything like that. They would just show up like the fucking Pegasus at the end of Volume 3. They would just show up in, like, a group of, like, however many were there, like 20. You know, I want there to be, like, scenes in my story where there are just, like, literal millions of Grim just charging forward in the landscape and shit, you know?
Just imagining the Hun Horde, but with Grim.
Exactly. This is the Golden Horde, but with Grim. But one reason that I just, like, what is stopping them from just endlessly marching across the world? So I need to figure out some sort of thing for that, because in the actual lore, Grim are attracted to, like, negative emotions and stuff.
You axed that.
Yeah. But in mine, Grim are just attracted to life. They're just attracted to people. They're attracted.
Smell aura.
Yeah, they can smell aura. Like, yeah, you did your research. But yeah, they can.
Them in the last hour.
Yeah, they can smell aura. They hunt down people, and they don't just kill people. They kill animals. They kill plants. They literally leave behind nothing but a barren wasteland that's just smoldering and just filled with Grim. That's why the Dragon Continent's just fucking dead. So, moving on to the Menagerie situation, we have ISIS trying to take over. So in my sort of topographical map, the right bit of Menagerie is all desert and mountainous, and the very left, like those little straits and that one island, that's like habitable, fertile soil and shit. So in the right where that red is, that is the White Fang, and in the left, that is the puppet Menagerie government run by like Gira and shit, one thing that I didn't like was the fact that Gira used to run the White Fang, but I don't like the fact that that Gira used to do anything with the White Fang, because the White Fang is supposed to be this violent terrorist organization, and like in my opinion, Gira has no place in it at all. Gira is way too passive. Even no matter, I can't picture him being violent at all. I know, like, he changed, but I can't picture him going back into a White Fang, even if it were a peaceful White Fang. And I can't picture
the
a peaceful
Fang
White Fang.
used to be peaceful, but then I think it was that in canon it is that Gira didn't use peaceful protest. He, like you said, was just incredibly passive, and people were not happy with that and wanted results.
Then Atom trailer happened.
You cried at Lionized.
Yeah. Dude, I love that song. But yeah. So my history of the White Fang is gonna just be like, you know, the White Fang was never peaceful. White Fang was always violent. Gira was a politician. And, the White Fang isn't fighting humans, they're fighting other faunus, so that in the end they can fight humans when they take the entire island. Because menagerie, you know, I think it was you that said this, but the word menagerie is a bit of an insult in itself. It's just like, here, go live here.
Because menagerie, the word,
it means zoo, right? Or it means like collection of animals.
It is basically a zoo. It's a collection of animals.
Yeah. So what further proof do these White Fang people need to suspect that this is a puppet human government that doesn't like the faunus? So, you know,
like you said, it used to be a Mistral colony.
Yes, because it's very close to Mistral, and I really want Mistral in this to be a huge deal, because they don't have to deal with the Grimm. They have big land. They have a lot of resources, lots of mountains. I want them to be like just as rich as Atlas, if not like more rich. You know, I want them to be centered around trade. I want them to be a very like I don't know. I don't know like what economic system, you know, I want in here. I'm not gonna go like, you know, fucking they're gonna be communists and shit.
I mean, because like the populations, Mistral has the largest population. The thing I'm kind of curious about is how do you handle all the different cultures Mistral has been associated with?
Okay.
Because the canon did not do that well.
Okay, so I'm thinking of Mistral sort of like, well, I don't know how much like information I divulged so far about my inspirations with each continent and each, what's it called, culture. But we based, well, my brother and I, when we made this world, because I didn't write this by myself, my brother and I did this, we decided one thing we need is numbers. We need like a definitive statistical thing. We can't leave it up to interpretation. We have to have a timeline. We have to have demographics. We have to know our own world. And whether or not we divulge that information up front is up to us and is up to the characters. Because it doesn't matter whether or not the readers know the full population of Remnant, or like how many people are living on it. It matters if we know it, because it's our world. Because imagine if we didn't know that. Because I doubt that like the people who are writing on RWBY right now know how many people live on Remnant. But it would really be helpful to know how many people are living on Remnant. But then we decided we had to divide appropriately the population between each kingdom, including islands and colonies and stuff. So I forget what the populations were. I think I have it on the actual map. Yeah, I do. I have it on the actual map.
I have the numbers like in my notes, but like I don't want to sound like a nerd.
No, I have it right here. So Mistral. Mistral is going to be a very diverse place because I think um, I based each kingdom off of a real life country, and since I want it to be as like modernized as possible, that really helps with like the population and the culture as well. Um, I think I gave them all different attributes of a European country. Like Vacuo, Vale, I think I gave France. I think Vale is based off of France, and Mistral's based off of either Germany or America. And Atlas is China, and I think Vacuo I gave something like either Syria or fucking Iraq. So you can see where I'm gonna go with that one. Um,
Ah, very different from the original.
yeah. Um, because before the whole like Syrian civil war thing, Syria used to actually be a very advanced westernized country. So we're gonna see something sort of like a very desert militaristic regime in a kingdom of Vacuo. It's going to be very interesting because Vacuo in the actual show doesn't have any like say in anything. It seems like no one has an actual say in anything. Damn it! But Vacuo, it's going to be like an actual global theater in RWBY. It's going to be an actual like each government has something to say. Each demographic has an opinion, and I'm getting off track on the question, but the question was, how am I going to do whatever with Mistral? Because Mistral has a very diverse population. Because one thing that I liked was the idea that Mistral was like the trade kingdom, because they have a lot of mountains. That means lots of resources, lots of mining. They're a very like thin. I don't know how to describe it. They have a lot of waterfronts, so I want them to be very focused on trade, and like maritime shit, sailing and whatnot. So they're going to be a very capitalist, busy, bustling society, and I wanted them to be based off of like the center, like main Mistral city. I want it to be based off of New York City itself. So that's how I'm going to be like categorizing the different sorts of demographics into the actual city. So we're gonna see Mistral as a very multicultural place in downtown. We're gonna see like, I don't know, you know how you have like Chinatown in New York City. Maybe I'll have like Faunus Town or whatever. And even though I said that Vale is going to be like the pinnacle of like progressivism and progressive ideals and like non-faunus discrimination, and they're all about like integration and shit like that. They're not racist. Mistral's going to be like second place basically. The big reason for that is because like like in New York City, people are like, I would guess I'd call them like battle hardened to different cultures and different races. So you can either educate yourself on being like not racist, or you can have someone who is racist be like put to the test in a very multicultural society and be like, you know what, this isn't really that bad. But that's not to go without saying that the more rural areas of Mistral and Vale are going to be a bit more, insensitive towards the faunus. And the most racist place, though, that's going to be against the faunus, besides Atlas, because Atlas is, of course, going to be number one. They're going to be this whole supremacy bullshit thing. Is going to be Vacuo. Because in the actual show, Vacuo, it seems like, has a big faunus population. One thing that I wanted to do was make some sort of like it's like there's a social elite, because like I said, I based it off of Syria, but the previous leader, or the current leader of Syria, I believe his family was a different like sub-religion of Islam than the followers of all the Syrians. So it's just sort of like I want it to be like a kingdom run by humans, and the faunus are like the majority, but they're treated like shit. So it's gonna be like a colony. It's gonna be like throwing back to like I don't know, like some sort of French colony in Africa, where like the French government runs everything and the African people have to like obey whatever. it's gonna be something like that, except the king and queen of Vacuo are just gonna like be super just like inconsiderate to the Faunus, and the Faunus are gonna live shitty lives in the desert and whatnot. Um, so yeah, that's sort of like my situation with the Faunus. Mistral is going to just be like the closest thing to America we have, and Vale is going to be the closest thing to a progressive like European society that we can see. And one thing that I really want to emphasize on is that there are problems outside of Vale. Is that my like thing is that the reason we haven't seen Fauna's discrimination is because it probably just doesn't happen in Vale that much. Is maybe Vale is a very like progressive society. Maybe it doesn't happen there. Like we've seen it happen in Mistral like once or twice, right? But I want it to I want people to mention shit like how progressive of a society Vale is, and maybe like a field trip somewhere else to like I don't know Atlas and see like wow, no faunus allowed signs. It's like all these Jim Crow laws and stuff everywhere else in the world except Vale. So God, I'm out of
Very
breath.
interesting. It's fine. It's fine. They put in the work for the world building more than the show.
Yeah.
Very interesting. You took Vacuo in a very than I expected. And Mistral being like number 2 most progressive place at least fixes the issue of why their head academy is run by a faunus.
Yeah. I wanted
As
them to
Floof
be
pointed
more
out.
like
Yes, Floof, I see you.
I've Floof. Yeah, I really wanted to make more like outstanding social issues and phenomenons in the fucking show or in my story, because it's like, you know, people who aren't exposed to themes of like racism and stuff are actually more racist than people who see it firsthand, because like this is also why like in real life in more rural areas and places that aren't diverse you see more like prejudice and discrimination that's more how would I describe it, internalized. I feel it's more like second nature because they don't know any better. They don't know what it's like to live in such a diverse place like someone from the city. um So that's why we see in real life more racist people coming from places where there aren't people of different colors than them. And same thing's gonna happen here with the faunus, where faunus I'm going to typically have, they're gonna stick in the more urban regions. They're not gonna be like farming type people. Faunus like to stick together. They're very brotherhood type race, and they like to stick to their own, and people don't like that. You know, people don't like the fact that all the faunus are coming in here. Not only they're taking our jobs, but they're doing all this shit and all this crime, and they look weird. And you know,
this is terribly relevant.
I know, but you know, it's hard to write. Um, it's hard to write being a racist without being a racist. So that's like the toughest part, you know, because you can't. I can't sympathize. I can't sympathize with a real life racist. I don't know, but I'm trying my best to, when it comes to trying to write a racist as accurately as possible.
Writing is all about empathy, so I feel like putting yourself in the shoes of someone with those views, it can feel very gross when you know better, but I feel that's a sign that you're on the right path to portraying them correctly.
Yeah, that's why I really dislike writing a broken world like this. A world that's in like, not only is it like on the verge of political turmoil, but the social everything, the social situation could be a lot worse. But then again, like it really hurts to just go in and just write all this bad shit and all this hurtful shit. So one thing that I really want to do is try and find some like unique history, like slurs for the faunus, like derogatory terms for faunas and humans.
Because there really aren't many slurs against the faunus besides like what I think animal, critter,
Yeah, but
anything
that's it.
else. Maybe mutt? I don't know.
Yeah, but I want something that's very like very just like its fucking meaning after you hear the slur. You can hear the power behind it.
Yeah, like when you hear it, you just cringe and just want death.
Yeah. Here, I'm trying to find I'm not organized, but I have progress. No. Can I show this? Let's see. I'm gonna look at this picture and see if I can show this without spoiling too much. Because
Reveal all your secrets to the stream.
Yes. Because it is a visualization how I write. Or how my brother and I write. Because we like timelines. Like I said, we like definitive shit. We like
But Dan, knowing exact times creates plot holes.
shit. That's a bit blurry. Okay. Alright, well, you don't really need to see that well in detail. But this is how we write. We make a timeline and we put certain events. And then we put those events into sub-events, and then those sub-events into different sub-events. So it's like, you have RWBY joins Beacon, right? But then you have the training and shit, you know? You have different character development arcs and different, you know, pieces of information that are being divulged to the audience and stuff like that. And once you do this, you really get a more visualized way of just saying, okay, so we already established that. Now we can move on to the Hogwarts style stuff and adventures. So, you know, it's a different way because I really love definitive stuff. I really love making timelines like this. I really love just because if you do this, you give yourself no room except for like in the middle. Except you keep squeezing stuff in every event. You keep going back, and instead of adding another day, being like, oh, I should have made this scene way back in chapter 1. I'm gonna go back and make a different day between day 1 and day 2, and then just, you know, whatever, just put whatever in there. But in this, I can just do that all the time. What the fuck am I trying to say?
Established a timeline that doesn't allow for weird discrepancies between stories.
Yeah. Goddamn. I should have had coffee.
Stayed on the time skip.
I should have had coffee. I should have had my coffee today.
Caffeine. I'm not gonna sing caffeine.
I was gonna, but I'm not. But yeah, reading between the lines here, you really get that sort of, it's hard to describe your writing style without other people, like, seeing it up front, because it's like, you'll write day 1, and then day 2, and then day 3, right? But then it's like, oh, I really could have done more for day 1, so let's just go back and add into day 1 instead of adding a completely new day. So once you get shit like this, you get to establish, like, okay, this is the day that they will, like, learn about this thing. and this is another day that they're going to establish this piece of information. And once you divide shit like that, it's a lot easier for the viewer to keep up with that sort of stuff, rather than just, you know, littering around, going back to something 5 volumes in and going like, oh yeah, by the way, this is how aura truly works. So
Oh, that killed me.
yeah. So that's the upside to writing in a format where you can backtrack, but this is also writing. It's not making a show. Someone just called me Muffin Daddy in chat, and that really threw me off.
I'm fried person. If you do come back, please come back with holy water from the church.
Wait, okay. I had to shut my door. But yeah, do you have any other questions for me?
I want to ask more about your timeline, mainly 2 things. One, do you have Earth's regular calendar, or did you go ahead and make a new calendar for Remnant? And do you actually plan things day to day specifically, or do you just go, it happens around the time of this month?
See, I didn't go that deep into creating a new calendar, an entire new calendar. I kept...
That I would have killed myself.
Yeah.
Also, hello everyone. I'm sorry I haven't been saying hello as much.
Zdarova. That's Russian. But
I knew it was Russian. I just didn't know what the fuck it was.
yeah. But yeah, calendar. See what I do? So like, people who, like, all 2 people who have read my RTF story know that day by day I don't say like what day it is. I don't say like Thursday, or I say day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, and that's how I'm doing RWBY, where it's like, you know, we don't really need to worry about the seasons or anything if we don't mention anything. So it's like, the more you say, the more you're just setting yourself up for a plot hole. So my sort of philosophy is like, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it when it comes to calendar stuff, because that's like one of the easiest things you can go back and fix. The thing is though, is that I can't forget about weather. So like, if I just go, yeah, I'll figure out what day it is elsewhere. I'll go back and do that at the beginning some other time. But then I do that, and when I do that, let's say like episode 1 is in like the fall. What if like some other episode where it's supposed to be in like the summer, it's actually in the winter time, and people are wondering why there's no snow or anything. So what I do for now is I just do day 1, day 2, day 3, and you know, I don't tell people what month or what season it is yet. I imply that it's like, oh, you know, it's really cold outside, instead of just going, it's fall. Because maybe, who knows, Remnant does have different seasons because they're a different planet. So maybe they do have a different sort of like polarizing weather thing.
Okay, that actually reminds me of something. If you're willing to share and it's not too spoilery, I know you wrote out Salem because you didn't know what to do with her yet, but you want to include her. What did you do about the Maiden and Relic situation?
Okay, so when it comes to the Maidens and Relics, I've not considered them in the slightest. At all. At all. Not even like the Silver Eyes thing, like, I haven't considered anything about the Maidens or anything about the Relics in the slightest, because the whole thing, the whole plot is going to be centered around the Grimm and the White Fang. It's going to be an international incident, not some sort of like magical journey. Like I said, I want this to be a war anime, not sort of thing. Yeah.
Interest that and factions still exist in this, or are they going to have like a different role, or are they just gone altogether?
Do who?
Cinder and her group.
Well,
The bitch with the personality of a broomstick.
yeah. Well, you see, I haven't really thought of her either. at all. um, the thing is, like, in my opinion, she didn't really have enough of a what am I trying to say? She didn't really have enough of a role in the
Enough
actual
character,
show.
enough of a presence to really warrant.
Yeah, she didn't really like strike me as someone that she has to be in this or else people aren't gonna read it. But I know that eventually I am going to have to, include her in the long run. Because I want to. I definitely want to have her eventually. I definitely want to have her and Neo and, Coco and Velvet and all those other people.
Sure,
Like,
on what role they're gonna serve just yet.
yeah, I'm unsure what role they're gonna serve, but it helps to have like this bank of potential characters, where it's like, you know what, I really want another villain. Let's get Cinder out. So it's like my reserves. All the characters that you haven't heard of right now are just in the reserves, and as we go on and on, I guess I'm going to soon realize that I have a lot more to work with than I'm working with. Like, I'm not working on with all of these characters that RWBY's giving me. Instead, I'm working on like with these 10 characters and forgetting about all the other side characters and maybe even making a few OCs of my own. But then I go on and realize, you know what? I could really just break out like 20 characters right here and just go fucking wild. But
Right, because right now it's just building the main foundation of everything.
yeah, right now, I haven't even like fully finished episode 1 officially. So like, I don't expect.
I
Yeah.
saw you call Adam low-key hot.
Where?
Person said for a split second that Adam was low-key hot, and then they retracted their message.
Wow.
I hate him, but it's true.
Um, but yeah, what was I gonna say? Oh,
You were
yeah,
basically just talking about how you're working with like 10 characters now, but you have a whole reserve to work with later.
yeah. I don't expect RWBY to ever be finished, honestly. Um,
Fun little hobby passion project thingy.
yeah, but maybe, who knows, that if enough people take interest in it, and if enough people are willing to like keep up with it and support my channel and shit, then maybe I'll find more motivation to try and finish it. Because right now what I really want to finish is RTF, because I've been working on that shit for actual years. So
Wanted to save a lot of your creative, not creative, imagination and other ideas for original projects.
yes. Because one of the things though is RTF and RWBY are drastically different stories, which means I have to put myself in really, really different positions to be able to empathize with the characters that I've made, and I have to get myself in the mood for the story that I'm about to write, and it can be exhausting writing both at the same time. Um,
Oh, I feel you on that. It's like for me when I jump between just my channel and my book and then the other books, it feels so exhausting and overwhelming.
yeah. Um, Here, let me pull something else up, actually. This is just for people who feel like they might be lost in this whole thing, because,
Quickly, Enclave, Fake Soldier. Yes, Torchwick was the best villain. I miss him dearly.
show something from RTF real quick. It's just that little map that I made. Like, this is the story that sort of like inspired a lot of RWBY's like how RWBY is written, rather, because I've been writing this shit forever.
Yeah, you mentioned this to me a little bit before. You want to give the viewers a little summary of what this project is?
Okay, so this is RTF. First time I'm really like coming out and talking about it, but it's about it's not really like a zombie outbreak, but you're not supposed to know that it's not zombies yet. But you know, zombies, they're going around everywhere in the red area is where they've infected. They started out in Philadelphia, and they've completely just fucked up the entire southeast end of Pennsylvania. But the army came in and stopped their spread, and now they're not letting anyone in or out of that red area. That blue circle that you see right above Philadelphia is where the main characters live. That's also where I live. So,
Oh dear.
yeah. So, the zombies, let me just give a quick rundown of the lore. The population is almost 12 million people, and over half of which live in the quarantine zone, shown in the red. The zombies are pretty much like the Dying Light zombies, where when it turns nighttime, they are a lot more active and a lot more dangerous and stronger, and their smell is greater, their sight is greater. They just turn into these super fucking just monsters.
So basically, they're water-bending zombies.
Yes. But during the day, they're shambling around, they're limping, you know, they're not really that much of a threat, but you still have to watch out for them because, you know, there's a reason that they got this far. There's a reason that they got as far to the fucking capital of the state. So, the outbreak was quick, starting at a biolab in downtown Philly. They moved out in a huge horde, killing everything in their path. Those who survived the horde, mostly by hiding, were left in a wasteland with almost no resources or food. The zombies tend to stick to main roads where people tried to flee, and you can guess that they didn't get far. So, basically, like, the reason why the main characters are still alive, like, 10 days into the outbreak is because the main horde, it was like a tsunami, basically. Main horde just branched out to the end of the quarantine zone throughout all the main roads and stuff. But then they just sort of stick there. They stick to the roads unprovoked for the most part. And as you can see, they don't really live near any main roads except for one, so they're kind of safe. But the closer you get to the city, the more zombies there are. And the closer you get to the main roads, the more zombies there are. The more noise you make, the more zombies there will be. So, you know, they're sort of in a pickle. Let's see what else. So yeah, if you guys want to read it, you can check out my Discord wherever. If you've ever played the game This War of Mine, it's going to be that same like concept where everyone is in like this group in a home, and it's very depressing. So it's This War of Mine, except with zombies in America with teenagers and Uncle Crow, because Uncle is basically Uncle Crow.
And he also turned into a bird, which upsets the youngins. God bless. That's all I needed to know.
Oh, I have to let. Oh, never mind. My dog barked.
Doggo.
RTF, that's another sort of thing that I'm working on, other than RWBY. If you guys want to watch RWBY, or not watch, read RWBY and RTF, they're both open for free on my Discord, which is free. There's a channel category for RWBY Rewritten. You can go down to the channel called Progress and download the format file, whatever the fuck it's called. And then at the very bottom is RTF, and in Progress there's a paste bin where you can read Volume 1, Version 1, Chapter 1.
Little does Dan want you to know he's actually produced RWBY and RTF secretly, and you must go on a hunt to find them.
And they're actual shows. I really want both of these to turn into an actual show eventually, because that's one of the main reasons why they're taking so long, is because like Because I don't want to spend all of my like creativity on it. I want to like honestly savor some of my creativity for when this has the potential to be an actual thing. So like when it comes to RWBY, I don't want to get so far into the actual RWBY lore so that I can't manipulate it into something that can be legally mine. So already, while I'm writing RWBY, I'm making something based off of RWBY that's completely original that no one knows about. Um,
Ooh.
but that is for like just in case I land a job at a fucking like animation studio in the future and I get to pitch my ideas and
Okay.
stuff. So,
Definitely interested to see what you do with these ideas way down the road.
definitely because even though I'm an animator, I always wanted to make my own show and Monty he showed me that that can happen. That can be a reality even if you're not a role even though the animator is not a role that can typically start or lead a project, he did it anyway. So that's sort of like the inspiration that I'm getting right now is that I really want to start out my own sort of animation company like with just like a few people that I know, maybe make a series or a game or some shit. And yeah, either that or just like be an animator, It's just like I have no problem with not making a project. Like I'm fine with working at Pixar.
I mean, I bet the Pixar animators make bank, so
I'd hope they do, or else this whole thing would be a
I
waste of
really
time.
hope they do. I hope it's not like a sweatshop like most anime studios.
Oh my god.
But
Okay.
cool. That all sounds really awesome. Like I'm rooting for you, dude.
Woo.
Cause like I have a similar thing with my books and stuff that I hope will lead to other stuff down the road. Independent creators trying to find their way in a world of evil and suck.
Yeah. I mean, in the end, it sounds cliche, but our passion for our stories alone will ensure that we do whatever it takes to get these um into the eyes and ears of the audience.
It takes. We will hunt down a maiden for fuck's sake.
Yeah, because my lifelong dream right now is for RTF to become a an anything. I've been considering RTF to become an anime, a RWBY sort of thing, a book, a movie, a game, a show, like just anything. Um, Preferably I'd have it be like a sort of mini series that's like 8 episodes long. Um, and if that were to happen, I'd die happy, honestly. Like if I were to direct an 8 episode mini series of RTF, that would be my life's work right there.
I can imagine, like, oh god, seeing your own creation like become real. There's no way to describe it. Hashtag make Rooster Teeth great again. Oh my actual god. Why?
Oh God.
Oh god,
Unpopular
why are
opinion.
being Ironwood, Oscar, and Whitley? What are you sinful heathens doing?
Unpopular opinion. I don't want or care about romance at all in RWBY. That is interesting that you say that because when it comes to romance, I think that I was asked before like something about romance with RWBY, but I'm like, I really don't have it in me to write romance because I want this to be focused on a political fucking event. I want it to be focused on like the world falling the fuck apart. Um, so like romance, like I said, that is the last of my worries. Um, Also,
You
I
have to be
really don't
very
like feeding the
careful with
shippers.
romance.
I really hate feeding the shippers. I already know that RTF is gonna have like, if RTF were to take off right now, like as it is, I know that there's gonna be a bunch of shippers because like I guess that's just my natural homoerotic, like, writing of just two men talking. Um,
I
that
think
is
that's
ship
going to happen
material.
regardless of what you do, Dan.
Yeah. But, you know.
Logan the Wolf asked, "Do you think Salem is a ripoff of Lord Zed?" I would not know because I don't know who the fuck that is.
I Same here. I have no clue who that is, though. So,
I'm just wondering why there are two D's in his name.
Thomas, Dan, how long have you guys been doing this? Your channel, I mean.
Peace Explorer, thank you.
Let me check how long my channel's been up, actually.
Actually, tomorrow is September 1st, so for me, it's been nearly a year since I started.
So, my YouTube channel, it says I joined November 29th, 2010. But as for YouTube, I started for real, well, late 2013, I made like Minecraft videos with my friends when I was like in 8th grade and shit. 2014, more Minecraft, Left 4 Dead, other stuff. 2015, Gary's Mod, all this other stuff. 2016, more gaming. But I think it was in late 2015 that I made my first RWBY video. So, and then 2016 is when I started doing it regularly. And I actually think at some point in either, well, I quit YouTube twice. I quit RWBY YouTube twice. Once in 2016, and I think once either earlier this year or in 2017. But I've been doing it for like a few years now.
And I think you said you wanted to expand beyond just RWBY at some point. I definitely agree on that sentiment.
Oh yeah. If my channel right now is like a mixture, I really want to be some sort of like general media channel. It's just someone that you go just for an opinion of something. That's just like, if some piece of media is out, you'd go to my channel and find the opinion there. So it's like movie reviews, animation, media, you know, games and shit like that. Writing. So I really don't want to be like
In the RWBY community forever.
no, I could, like,
Not
I'll
have it
be in the
like
RWBY community
thing
for as
everyone
long
does
as it
before.
exists. I'll be in the RWBY community for as long as it exists. Because, you know, I'm already actively involved in it. People already know my name and shit like that. But what I'm trying to say is I don't want to be like an everything channel that uploads like 10 things a day, like, oh, here's my opinion on everything. If you know
No, then the
Angry
algorithm will
Joe,
murder you.
yeah. Do you know Angry Joe? Okay, well, Angry Joe, he does game and movie reviews, but he also does gaming and like other stuff. And I really want to be something like that because I want to be a channel that's based around a personality, where so chat, whether or not you like Angry Joe, the format is there where it's like his personality is clear. You know what his opinion on something is going to be. You know what his opinion on like a certain topic is going to be. You know that if there's something in a game that you're playing, you go, oh man, Angry Joe's gonna hate that. And when you watch his review, you go, I can't wait until he mentions that. I strive to be something like that, where it's like, when you watch a movie or game review of mine, it's gonna be like, you know what I'm going to say, because you know me by now, and it is going to be enjoyable to watch me in other videos too, because it's an enjoyable personality and you already know like what to expect. And I wouldn't say it's like a cult, but it is more like a cult audience.
There are cults in everything, even my discussions.
Yeah. it is really difficult to be explaining something like this because a lot of people don't like Angry Joe. A lot of people don't like the format, but trust me, it will work in the end because
For a very specific audience that will enjoy it.
yeah, there will be a very specific audience that I will breed in a very specific audience slash cult that will breed with me in the near future. I'm guessing that after
That out
10k
of
subs,
context.
yeah, yeah, after 10k subs, I'm guessing that I'm going to have like a set in stone cult audience, and I just think the sound of that is just amazing. But I don't want to be some sort of like closed-minded asshole either. I want to be open to new audiences. I want to be open to collaborations, shit like that. But mainly, I just want to be some sort of media opinion channel and media advice, and someone you go to just like just to enjoy,
Yeah, I get what you mean,
sort of
though.
like Donkey. You guys know Donkey, video game Donkey? Someone like that, where like he doesn't always review games, he plays them too. So like I want to just be like some sort of guy who reviews movies, shows, games, but also plays shit, makes his own stuff too. Um, it's very
In that
difficult.
because like once people know you for a niche, it's very hard to expand past that.
Yeah. So yeah, I've had trouble in the past trying to figure out what my channel is going to be, and whether or not I am going to be some sort of like Angry Joe or Donkey type of personality. Um, but then you just sort of got to realize you're your own thing. Um, I could be both combined. I could be Angry Joe and Donkey mixed with my own sort of spin on it, you know? I don't have to be a set like formula. But I do like formulas because formulas do work. That's my obsession with studying past like tricks that previous masterpieces of writing used, because I'm like, well, there's a reason that people find this so good. There's got to be some sort of reason. There's got to be some sort of formula behind it all. And there's got to be some sort of way for me to take some sort of ingredient from that in my story, or from theirs, and put it into mine. So it's like, um, Monty did this a lot, where like he would take inspiration from a bunch of things that he loved and put it into his own thing, and RWBY is just basically the love child of all of Monty's consumed media, um, which is amazing because RWBY turned out to be an amazing original universe, and that's because Monty took the ingredients from other universes and took what worked in those and put it into his own thing.
And I think that's something a lot of modern writers and artists do, especially because like we're basically in a golden age of media where there are just there's so much to consume and so many ideas floating around. Nothing is original, but like at the same time, your niche you're into, there's something for it most likely.
Oh yeah. Um, the problem with
Thinking
that
about
is
how are
also,
we handling currency.
oh,
Oh
currency.
god.
See, that's another thing that I haven't even considered. Um, like,
Economy.
hmm.
There's a thing called lien, and it does stuff, and that's the end. That's it. That's the end.
Yeah, I think I'm going to keep Leanne.
See, I'm not an economist, so Jesus Christ.
In before we go into the Metal Gear Solid 2 ending. No, I'm not. I think the Metal Gear Solid 2 ending, wasn't that the one where like Snake? Wait. Entertain the chat while I look this up. No,
Chat, be
this is it.
entertained. I demand you.
The Metal Gear Solid 2 ending is basically like this existential thing where it's like people create, and I don't fucking know. It's like this whole bigger societal meaning. Um, yeah, no, we're not doing that. Okay, so,
What do you
um,
demand of the chat? I demand you all be entertained and engaged. Let me just go over my notes because I think we've gone over most of everything. Grim, we covered the governments. You had a note of robot Grim, so instead of students fighting each other, they fight robots.
yes. This was based off of, Percy Jackson sort of bit, where, they have to go and fight monsters and shit, but you can't just have your children going out fighting monsters for real and get them killed, then, that's a liability. And also, even if that's not a liability, even if there's no, like, suing and stuff in Remnant, that's just sort of like, you can't just have people dying on you. You can't just have your students dying.
We need them to grow into our human fields.
So, the thing is, Robot Grim, they'll be training against Robot Grim in, like, this big arena and stuff, so, but then we're gonna also have, like, scouts and shit who, like, study the behavior of Grim, who tell the engineers how to program the Grim robots, tell them how they work, so they're as accurate as possible.
You also mentioned that if students were actually fighting each other, it might result in a lot of negativity between countries. I can definitely see that considering how violent sports fans can get.
Oh, yeah, God. Sports fans get like that, but we're literally fighting each other and doing all this shit where it's like, at any moment you can go, wow, that's cheap. But yeah, we're literally fighting each other. We're almost killing each other, sometimes. And,
we're only breaking people's legs.
So, yeah, I really didn't like the idea of, anything other than cooperation between the kingdoms in the original, universe. So in this, it's not going to be cooperation between the kingdoms. It's going to be just one organization, and that's the Huntsman Agreement organization people. And
right, because you set up an international council of huntsmen.
Yes, it's sort of going to be like something like the one of the many international organizations we have today, like the Doctors Without Borders stuff. It's just going to be something like its own council. It's going to be like the UN, and you see, I wanted to separate them from kingdoms way back, because damn, I'm going way back, because I wrote these rules of, like, what separates the huntsman and all that, like, months ago, so I'm going way back into my reasoning. But I really wanted the kingdoms to just not use huntsmen for themselves, because I wanted huntsmen to be something that was just borderless and without any allegiance. So, that was my biggest thing.
Basically how huntsmen work in the canon, but further fleshed out, basically.
Yes, it's going to be more fleshed out as to, like, why can't they join the army? And,
because, like, in the canon, they can join allegiances with a kingdom, but, like, they're also able to be independent. But I can see how if a kingdom had, like, an army of loyal huntsmen, that would not end well.
Yep, especially after my, war, the conflict, they figured out that huntsmen were too destructive in combat. And, they're like, huntsmen belong fighting Grim, not people. We figured out, these are pretty much weapons of mass destruction on the battlefield, and we can't afford a world-ending war right now, especially with the Grim so close to major cities. So,
or crippling an entire fucking army.
Exactly. So Atlas does it anyway. Damn, I'm going way back into the fucking lore where Atlas, the invasion of Vale. Damn, it's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be so cool to write that, the invasion of Vale. Because I always wanted to write some sort of, like, Red Dawn sequence.
For Daisuke Ishwata, I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong, composing RWBY music. I've never heard his or her music, so I can't really say, but I am a fan of the Williams, so I would keep them.
Yeah. Um, is anything left in Vale? Jack Norris says, yes, there are people left in Vale. It's just an occupied city. It's not like Vale
Puppet
turns into
government.
this war zone, but it's a puppet government, yep. But we will see, like, it being besieged by the loyalists, Vale military and shit, and, the rebels, you know, this is where we're gonna get into the more Red Dawn thing, where maybe we're gonna have more like guerrilla attacks within the city against like the Atlas people. So it's like Wolverines setting up a fucking car bomb to blow up this patrol of Atlas military.
Like implementing martial law in Vale.
It's basically what's gonna happen, though. Honestly, it's gonna be like, if you guys have ever seen Red Dawn 2012 one, that's gonna be the Wolverines are gonna be RWBY and all the other loyalist people. I still gotta figure out like what to call the rebels, the people who are still fighting for Vale, because
Oh, like a fancy name for a rebel group.
yeah, because honestly, like, my thing is, you know, now that Atlas invaded Vale with all these huntsmen, it's legal to fight them back with huntsmen. But, you know, it's still unethical. The Huntsman organization still says don't do it, but technically it's legal, but they still say don't do it. So, even though they're doing it, they're still, like, breaking the rules of everything. So, they gotta be on their own side now. They gotta be, their own team.
Rules were meant to be broken, child. Now go toss this bomb into the city.
Yeah. So I think that for now I'm just gonna call them the Loyalists, because it's all the people from Vale that are just fighting against them. All huntsmen, huntresses, and soldiers, and maybe even like civilians who just taken up arms. So those are like the Loyalist militia. As for everyone else, I forget what I'm having them do about the invasion. I think that they're just like saying, dude, stop. Like, that's the most that they're saying. Dude, get out of Mistral, or get out of Vale, rather. Mistral and Vacuo are just looking at them like, are we next? Like, what is this?
Just nervously laughing in the corner.
Yeah, because, you know, it could go two ways. Like, you know, the conflict is ended for now. Like, you know, the worst has happened, Vale is captured. The worst we need is to provoke them so that they come attack us too. So, you know, for now it's just Cold War scenario. And let's just arm the rebels.
Atlas is the only kingdom with an actual military in your version.
Yeah, the rest just sort of have like smaller defense forces and militias, but, you know, Vacuo and Mistral do arm the rebels and stuff. They send volunteers. It's gonna be like the Spanish Civil War out of World War II, where like everyone's just like fighting each other in this big proxy war. And eventually I'm gonna have Mistral do something.
God, you know your shit.
But eventually I am also going to have Vacuo get something of its own. Maybe its own civil war. Maybe its own civil war to overthrow the king and queen and install a Faunus government, because, like I said earlier, the Faunus are very mistreated in Vacuo. So, I always said that, like, you know, after Menagerie's taken, what's next? In my opinion, I think that Vacuo is going to be next, because Vacuo is the most unstable country out of them all when it comes to the Faunus-human relationship. So, after the White Fang eventually win in their terroristic war, they're going to go after Vacuo, and that's going to be the main stage. As much as I like the idea of bringing the story to Mistral every time, I do want it to go to Vacuo eventually.
Yeah, I just want to see what Vacuo is actually like. Also, Pearson asked this a while ago. Do you think Volume 6 could redeem RWBY?
At this point, well, Volume 5 has, me, personally, at a very low standard. So Volume 6 does have a very high... What? Like, I've set my standards for Volume 6 very low. Volume 6 standards are very low for me. So, in my opinion, Volume 6 can be the redeeming thing for RWBY. It definitely... It isn't one of those things where it's like, if Volume 6 sucks, RWBY's gonna die. Well, like, no.
The show is way too popular to die like this.
The show's way too popular, and I doubt that they can do worse than Volume 5. But if they do a lot better than Volume 5, then, like, I wouldn't say that that's, like, the redeeming quality of the show. I would say that Volume 6 won't make or break the show. I'll just say that it'll spice it up for me.
It's going to be amazing, but I have this feeling it's going to be a breath of fresh air in some way. The way I view it is that I'm hoping it's like Korra Book 3 was, where the first two books were kind of meh, kind of really not fun, and then all of a sudden Book 3 happens, and everything is good. Korra will get that.
Yeah. How many live viewers did you get on your other live stream with Celtic?
I don't even remember, honestly. I think at one point it was like over, I guess. I don't know. I don't remember.
How much you cut off? Because I think we have 57. Hey, guys.
Right now. Have to look at the counter as we're doing this kind of stuff.
Oh, well, do you or the audience have any more questions?
Thou audience have any further questions?
Vacuum main religion? I'm not considering anything about religion right now. Because that will get me into gods. And gods, I'm just sort of like confused as to what I'm going to make the gods like. I used to think that like I wanted to go to like an MMO for my inspiration for the gods. So like something like World of Warcraft or Guild Wars 2, where like it's either the gods have a very big hand in everything, or the gods have abandoned us completely. So I want it to be one of those possibilities. And when I make a religion, I have to go like full-fledged into it. I want to make a cult. I want to make an absolute just like third party, like, oh, we have the Faunus, or we have the White Fang, and now we have these religious nuts trying to blow everything up. So,
I mean, Corsic and Fennec fit that build pretty goddamn well.
Yeah.
What advice would you have for people who want to make their own RWBY rewrite?
Go crazy. That's my own advice.
Or go home. I think the ultimate question is what to see RWBY as. Like, what format would you like to see it in? What would you rather happen in the show? And just treat it like you would a fan fiction, I guess, and just go wild and be unashamed.
Yeah. My opinion for writing something that people take it seriously, write it seriously. Because, like, a lot of fan fictions wouldn't pose as an alternate universe because of how they write it. You have to take this shit very seriously if you want people to take it seriously. That's why I'm very open about, sharing all of my timeline stuff and all the maps and all the lore and all the other planning that goes behind this. It's so that people see that I'm taking it seriously, so that they'll take it seriously. Is that this isn't just some fucking, what's it called? Some sort of just weird fan fiction. This is an actual, like, proper alternate universe that is being treated like an alternate universe.
Like, if this were to be like, this could actually be produced as an actual project.
Yes. Like, if Miles and Carrie one day just said, Dan, we want to restart everything, and we want to use your idea. You want to go for it? I'll be like, sure thing.
Born, make it real.
Yeah, I would make it real. I would go. I would drop everything, and it's my destiny. It's my destiny to do this. But, let me see.
Human or angel like Faunus? No, because Faunus are based on actual animals, not mythological creatures. Angel style Grim. That would be fucking horrifying.
One thing that I really want to do about Faunus is like limit how much their traits are shown, because like right now we're already limited because like we have like horns, ears, tails of like different animals, and that's about it. And then other than that, you have different attributes like Ilia with their skin and stuff like that. So it's like, how far can you go? How far can you go into like they can just fucking fly, or they can do this and that and just be so overpowered. So I want to limit what they can do as well.
Person brought the holy water. That's good. That's good.
Let me go back and see what other questions. What advice? So we got that. Do you think it is possible to salvage the Faunus subplot? I think that it is perfectly salvageable right now. The Adam character showed us that they really do want to pay attention to it, but that all depends on how competent they are in the future and how much they decide to add. Whether or not they go in over their heads is up to them.
Their biggest problems with that is that I think they're kind of afraid to show how nasty the Faunus prejudice can get, and so they try to avoid it to show it more.
Yeah, we gotta realize that they're very reluctant to show a lot of stuff on this show, including blood, including direct bullet impacts, including death and curses. Yeah.
Faunus breeding going to be a thing? I don't want the answer to that question ever. I'd literally rather die than know.
I'll be right back. You entertain the chat, please.
I gotcha. Let's see, what Faunus would you guys want to be? Crap, I can't be a unicorn Faunus because I just said no mythological creatures. I don't know. Your opinions on Blake. The thing with Blake is that her character has kept changing, like, literally all the time. A good grasp on what she's meant to be. I feel Volume 5 is her best form yet. That's not saying a lot, but at least she's going in a more positive direction of trying to stop running away and change things. Have I played myself, Taver? Not. RWBY honestly shouldn't be PG-13. I'm not sure if I totally agree with that. What your rating is, if you write it very cleverly, you can get away with some very dark stuff. Like, Pixar movies have been incredibly fucking dark, and they're still family-friendly. What makes a story for you difficult to craft?
I'm back. But yes. Story difficult to craft. I don't know.
I would say world building is the most difficult part. Even if you're setting a story in our world, in a way that's worse because you can't make stuff up to actual history. At least for me, that is the most difficult part. Up with the name for the rewrite. Can't speak for Dan, but remember, I think I wanted a simple, catchy name for it in the style of how the team names are. Like, Juniper is pronounced Juniper, but it's spelled very in RWBY again, because it's RWBY again, but shortened, I guess. I don't know. I also tried to take a page of Sailor Moon Crystal and Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, where the show is, and then you have a little subtitle telling you it's the new version.
For me, with RWBY, I noticed that like R-E, was showing up in a lot of animes for some reason, and I'm like, you know what?
RWBY does have a very nice ring to it. RWBY rewrite. Get out of here,
Like
Josh.
RWBY. RWBY. Because, you know, you have ReZero and then whatever. And, I don't know what they mean in theirs, but mine is like redo. You know, like Redux. Like the special writing of Redux.
Just looking at it, you already know what you're getting. It's the new version of RWBY.
Yeah.
Do you guys think this is how Monty wanted the story to turn out? If we're talking about the canon, I think that the people running the show want to actively destroy his vision. It's just, I think they're having issues. Oh, I think mainly it's production issues because they're trying to rush out the shows so quickly. I think that's not RT's fault as much as it is the people at Full Screen, because it makes sense that Full Screen wants them to get RWBY out as quickly as possible so they can bank on it, because corporations care more about short-term profits than long-term viability, because, you know.
Yeah. As for that question, I believe that Monty's vision for RWBY will honestly it's just it's not alive anymore. I believe that it is a different vision right now because I don't know how much into the relics thing he planned and
yeah, because the maidens weren't
at all the maidens
really,
too.
The maidens weren't made canon until right before Volume 3.
So, yeah, that's the thing is that I think that Monty's vision eventually is going to completely fade away, unfortunately. Because, you know, there's only so much that he could have written down for them. There's only so much that he could have told the people closest to him about the story and what he had planned. Because, like, you know, it's like, I know how he would have done it, honestly. He would have told them, like, major events as to what's happening, and, like, you know, like, there were people who knew that Pyrrha would, like, you know, die since Volume 1. There were people who were in on that secret. And there were people who knew about, I fucking
about
forget,
Salem.
but yeah, there were people who knew about
and
Salem
like,
and Pyrrha.
No one say Salem.
Yeah, people knew about that for so long. So when Monty was still alive in like his last days, what about like his last conversations with people about RWBY? What did he say about like Volume 10 or whatever? What did he say? Did he say like, okay, so Salem like goes to Mistral or something herself and like burns the whole place down? So like,
Sure,
who knows? Yeah, who knows? Maybe like Monty planned ahead farther than we thought because maybe he planned farther ahead than we thought and more in depth than we thought, because I know that before he had the idea for I think it was Team Juniper, he already created Team Sun, and we didn't see Team Sun until like Volume 3. Like, we didn't see them in their entirety until Volume 3. We saw them like for a split second in the intro.
Intro of Volume 2.
Yeah, even though that they were in the intro and everyone's like, who the hell is this? So Monty planned ahead like super far. So but he was also an impulsive decision maker. What with adding Neo and adding the maidens like very suddenly. So you know, as for people saying, oh, they're not going with Monty's plan, they truly never were going with Monty's plan 100% of the time. But I think right now, it's more of just like Monty-inspired plan. Right now, it's Miles and Carrie's vision of what RWBY should be, what it should have been all along, and they're still sticking true to Monty's main events, like those big things that he planned to tell them.
Yeah, if we still had Monty, I'm pretty sure that the recent volumes would, I don't want to say they would be totally different, but you would feel a difference in them. I feel they would just have more soul if it was.
Yeah.
Awful saying that, though.
Yeah, because it's not like they don't care about it. It's just that it's different when it's your
They do care. It's
brainchild.
just it isn't their
Yeah,
child,
it's so
really.
much
So
different when it's your own brainchild, and
there's a lot of production issues behind the scenes that we're not entirely in the know of. Do you think that LGBT representation should be limited to only the faunus as a means to play up the differences and discrimination between them and humans? Uh, because quite honestly, LGBT people show up in literally every single demographic, so it just wouldn't make.
yeah, I mean,
Am for
I see what
finding
they're
ways
trying to
to
go
make them,
for. I see what they're
but I
trying to
have
go for with there, but it wouldn't work.
and people wouldn't really care as much because we have bigger issues to deal with.
Yeah. Um.
That our friggin' kingdom's walls. Character in the RWBY universe. So, how dare you ask that question? Even we all know the Weiss Queen reigns supreme for me.
What was the question?
Who's your favorite character in the RWBY universe? Who you're gonna say?
See, you might know who I'm gonna say. And, well, actually, I have two people in mind. The best girl, honestly. Yeah, I can't choose. I can't.
It's a tough choice, I know.
Because, I like all the main four girls, Weiss is, of course, the queen, alright? Blake, I've sort of just not liked Blake recently, and RWBY. Like, Blake and RWBY used to be my fucking favorite, but as of right now, I just gotta say Weiss queen, best queen.
Blake has been very inconsistent the whole way through. I actually really prefer recent Blake to original Blake.
Yeah.
Used to be the queen of puns, but now she's very sad all the time.
Yeah, I think the show's a bit too, like, sad at some points for some reason. I don't know,
As
because...
the one who wants to make it into Game of Thrones.
But it's like... It's supposed to be like... I'm sort of, like, trying to figure out, like, what they're trying to make their vision of RWBY into, and it's just sort of, like, into this, like, heroic triumph and shit like that. But it's like, sometimes it's just, like, very big mood swings, and it's like, what am I supposed to be feeling? But mine is clear.
Batman brought this up in, like, his recent Volume 5 commentary video, where they talked a lot about trying to make Volume 4 more full of smiles, but it isn't really that fun to watch. A lot of the jokes just don't land. Actions just feel very, what's the word? Stiff? Inorganic?
Yeah, see, Monty knows how to do, like, action comedy. You can see this in his, like, Red versus Blue work. And in the earlier versions of RWBY, I'm trying to think of a fucking example. Sort of like how, Sun throws the banana at everyone in Volume 1 before, like, jumping on them.
Away.
Yeah. Where he understood action comedy, Miles and Carrie are more like, they're writers. They need to write dialogue. They need to write jokes. Not situations where something would be funny. They need to write a conversation where something would need to be funny. And that's turning RWBY into a show where it's more based off of words, not actions. Where RWBY used to be this thing where it's like the trailers were all action, and shit went down really quickly. Like, Yang walked into a club, 1 minute later everyone's fighting each other. So could that happen in Miles and Carrie's vision?
Yeah, because it feels like to me, RWBY has been slowly turning less action comedy into almost like a soap opera, honestly.
Soap opera's a great way to put it because lots of dialogue, lots of dramatic stuff, and the action sucks.
Or at least good action.
Yeah.
Lots of friggin' cliffhangers.
Yeah, there are a lot of cliffhangers. Well, not like.
I'm still not over what they did to Weiss. How dare you?
Well, I mean, like, cliffhangers in the sense that, like, we know what can happen, but it's just annoying to wait. So it's like, she's not the Spring Maiden, I am. And then it's like, oh, now we gotta wait for the fight. Or, oh no, now we gotta wait for Weiss to get healed. Or, you know, it's like all this other stuff where it's like cliffhangers and cutting to black and shit like that, you know.
They talk about formatting a volume like a movie because movies don't do this.
Oh yeah, if you were to format each volume like a movie, then that would just be that would be delicious.
Like 5 to 6 hours long. Granted, I would sit through it, but like
yeah, you see, like, the structure for writing a movie and the structure for writing an episode are so different. And see, like, when they see structures for writing an episode, when they see the structure for writing an episode, I feel like they don't have the bigger picture in mind for how these episodes have to end together in one big volume. Like, they know how they lead up into each other, but, you know, it's really weird, all the quirks and stuff, analyzing it. It seems like Volume 5 just wasn't their volume, honestly.
biggest issue, especially with Volume 5, was pacing. Because Blake's plot, nothing really happened until the house fight. Well, Volume 5, nothing happened much in general until everything happened in the last 4 episodes. Had a lot of good ideas, guys, but you no, you don't do it like this. Please stop doing it like this. Someone called Penny a cinnamon. You mean cinnamon roll, right? I don't know what the fuck the cinnamon roll is.
But yeah, I still have to figure out what I need to do with Penny.
Axe Penny, or do you feel that Adam has devolved as a thematic character and as a threat since season 3? The direction they've taken Adam, because on the one hand, I like him being a crazy lunatic that's so obsessed with someone that willing to go out of his way to throw his ideology away to spite her and ruin her life. But on the other hand, they just kind of threw his ideology, and in Volume 5 especially, they just made him so. The idea of making someone who's ruined your life feel small, especially because Adam is now essentially a cornered bull, pardon the pun. But like the way that they handled it, just a headbutt and then a few swipes of the sword and suddenly he's running. I knew what you meant, but I had to make fun of you for the spelling. It was my obligation to. Yes, I totally agree. RWBY should have been asking about her goddamn eyes at some point.
Yeah, but I feel like the people who complain about that's more dialogue than than what we already have. So you know, we're already complaining about how much dialogue there is, but and then we're like, we want more dialogue. So that really says something.
I could do without Blake describing everyone as one word, even though Weiss is the Queen of Defiance.
Yes. do you think...
Die or surrender.
I don't know at this point. I used to think that anything would be possible with him. I used to think that he could either turn good, he could either die, or he could either surrender. But right now, I think that,
That's the point of redemption. Way past it.
yeah, right now that... I think right now that what's going to happen to him is that they're going to get into a position where they can kill him, but they let him go. Because it's like, you know what? I didn't even want to kill you. You're not worth the trouble. You're not worth the effort. So they just let him go. They just let him run off.
There. Can we please throw him into a prison where he won't kill anyone?
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah. We'll put him in prison.
Unfortunately, they wasted Monica Rial. I do agree that I am annoyed with the way that they handled Sienna. I don't mind them killing her. They did it. Like, especially because we established in the character short she can fight, and she doesn't even get to put up a fight. Like, come on. Cringe. I was about to say, where the fuck did the tea come from? Yes, Pearson, I agree. Everyone trusts Ozpin way too much. He's possessing a 14-year-old boy. He uses children as human shields and sends them off to fight the devil.
Exactly, which is why in RWBY there's more of a focus on how Ozpin is a necessary evil. However, he is sort of like, you know, he's a homeboy, he's your homie, but he's the homie that's sending you to die. You know, he's like your drill sergeant.
If it serves his interest.
He's like your sergeant, or he's like your superior, because it's like, you know, once you join the huntsmen and huntresses, people, guys, you're basically signing your own, like, death.
Warrant. It will happen at some point. It's just a question of when.
Because, you know, there's a reason, you know, it's not like they're cannon fodder. It's just that if you're deployed and, like, you're dead. You're gonna die if you're not that good. So, not ever makes a cut.
Shadiness on Oz. Me, I amped it up all the goddamn way. I just don't. I don't fucking trust him. I think the big issue with people is that when you try to make Ozpin shady, they're like, oh, then you're for Salem. No, I'm allowed to hate them both. They both suck. Why is no team on this? Why do all the teams suck? Do you think OCs can be done well in fan fictions? Obviously, of course. Rainy and I actually created a lot of OCs for the RWBY rewrite, and there are going to be a lot actually in the Volume 5 storyline because we had to add in like a couple new plots here and there. So look forward to that. Shameless plug. Team Sun Redemption. To ask how are we redeeming them, but do you mean actually making them useful? I feel making them useful can be done if we give Sage and Scarlet personalities, if we make Neptune not a fuckboy, and if we make Sun relevant. Because honestly, I don't know what the point of canon Sun is.
Okay. Any more questions? Questions.
We've gone. Oh, you are gonna publish. Oh, someone was asking about my book. It's just been delayed because this process is difficult and it's killing me inside. And also, I'm paranoid. It sucks. So that's fun. Going to be coming out. spent too long on this goddamn thing to just not publish it. Outlining your plots. The volume format, although I call them cores, so I basically just go, okay, this many volumes into this one season, here's the point of this season, and here's how each leads up to that. So for season 3, I'm waiting to see. I have a very rough idea of what I would make my season 3, but I want to see what me to work with. And also what songs and how to integrate them, because creation. Yeah, I agree, Philip. I feel Sun and Yang would be best friggin' buds. Their ship name is Solar Flare, right? That is a perfect name.
That's awesome.
I'm in Volume 5. I don't know, Uncle Crow. I'm not quite sure what happened to them. Excluding the Nevermore. There was a Nevermore in Volume 5? I thought they were just Lancers. Where was the Nevermore?
The hell?
I don't know, because the only Grimm I remember in Volume 5 were the Lancers.
Maybe in the intro? Oh wait, no, that's Crow. But,
or Raven. It could be either of them. Food. Not sure how that's relevant, but pizza. So, like, okay, King of Misfortune. So, like, core 1 to 12 chapters. Actually, no. My cores tend to be a lot shorter, especially season 1. Each core is 7 episodes, and then season 2, the cores are either 10 or 11 episodes. It depends on the story beats the canon gives me to work with and how much the plots need to breathe. Yeah, there were no Nevermores in Volume 5, just Lancers. Oh, go home, Crow. You're drunk. Magic into your rewrites.
no magic.
He has no magic. I kind of have magic. Because you can, in my version, you can kind of scientifically explain aura and semblances and dust, but with maidens and stuff, you can't explain those, and those are what qualifies magic for me. Interdimensional vault places that look like Journey. See, Alsh, you find it odd how Ruby had a dog, and still the Faunus don't see this as an offense. No, honestly, Faunus are very much on level with humans. Other animals, other species are not. So human and Faunus above the others. So I don't really see an issue with this at all.
Do you find it odd how a dog... Oh.
I
yeah.
will defend him to my dying breath.
I mean, Faunus must not, like... I guess I'm gonna have it that Faunus don't really, like, sympathize with animals, you know? Because it's like, oh, I'm a dog Faunus and you own a dog?
When was the last time you saw a corgi asking for the right to vote?
Yeah, no.
Adorable. Imagining Zwei with a little sign standing on his hind legs.
We want suffrage.
President. I'm pretty sure there's actually a town in the U.S. who has a cat for a mayor.
Yeah, it's in like Alaska.
Be Alaska. God fucking damn it, Alaska. No offense to any Alaskans in the chat. Yes. Other animals in RWBY besides that dog? I don't think we have, because RWBY doesn't really talk about non-grim wildlife. Makes me sad because you could really have. Oh, we did see a horse. It was a very scary horse. It did not look natural. Did we see fish? Yeah, I think we saw fish. I don't know. Or have no more soundtrack. Easy. Goodbye, Pyrrha, forever. If she comes back, the stakes are immediately gone. I have no investment in the show. I'm dropping it. But I will listen to future soundtracks. As I tweeted yesterday that if RWBY brought back Pyrrha, I would drop the show, and I'm not fucking lying.
I would drop it in heart, but I would still watch it. I just want to see what happens, honestly.
It's like you just want to see what kind of crazy ass shit goes on.
Yeah.
It's not that you care, it's that you're like, ooh, what drugs did Miles and Carrie take today?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, you really gotta think about killing a character before you kill them. Because, like, Sienna Khan, I feel like, they just killed her out of the blue. One episode, bam, and then they're like, hey, look at how cool she can be. Look at her weapon. Look at how capable of a fighter she is. Everyone's been saying it since the Adam trailer that Sienna's, like, such a wasted, killed character. But I'm like, you know what? I don't know what to think about that.
More of a fight against Adam, but I know they didn't because they didn't have the budget to.
Yeah.
So sad. But there's also the fact that you can't just kill characters for being useless, because the death has to mean something. You're safe from
Yeah,
now.
we're not the Walking Dead here.
Yeah, we aren't the Walking Dead. Let's not be the Walking Dead. Please, God, no.
Hey, that character hasn't talked for a while. Oh, they're dead. No, every character has their importance, especially in RTF. Shameless plug-in.
And every death has to mean something. You can't just have it because you didn't know what else to do with the character. Either that character should not exist, or you should find a way for their death to mean something, or for them to be useful.
For me, in my stories, like I said, it's hard for me to write RTF and RWBY at the same time because they're completely different mentalities. In RTF, it's supposed to be like this futile attempt to survive, and no one's special, everyone's gonna die, it's just fucking, futile.
You are indeed
pain,
a snowflake child, and
suffering.
that you are fragile and likely to break upon contact with the real world.
And, so they die without reason. They just die. Even the main characters. I love it when main characters die in stories because it's just like such a big. Well, now what? Now we have a new main character.
You violated the audience's trust in the best way, and now they're hooked.
Yeah. So like, I don't want to spoil any more, just in case people do try and read it, but it's not like RTF is going to be Game of Thrones. It's not like RWBY is going to be Game of Thrones, but there will be deaths galore, and they will mean nothing.
To be Game of Thrones, you'd have to create a terrifying original world filled with horrifying monstrosities.
It's basically what we have here, actually.
I don't want
the White
to know...
Walkers are the Grim.
I don't... Oh my god, you're right.
We
I
can
don't
make
what
a
Ruby's
wall.
answer to Sithorios is.
We can make a wall. Like they have in Game of Thrones.
Okay, that still pisses me off. Like, okay, this is very brief Game of Thrones spoilers, but like, if they hadn't gone past the wall, this would not be friggin' happening. I'm just fucking saying. Hey, I'm just saying it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Y'all did this to yourselves. Y'all played yourselves. Oh god, just thinking of what Sithorios RWBY could have scares me, because for those who don't know much about Game of Thrones, Song of Ice and Fire, Sithorios is like the southernmost continent. Very little is known about it, but it's horrifying. It's filled with diseases that like melt your flesh, bugs that lay eggs in your skin, dinosaurs, apes that can kill elephants in a single punch, and cities die. Oh, she
We just
preferred.
hit the 2-hour mark on the stream.
We do not know how to shut up.
You're right. Do
You
you have any
prefer
more
characters.
questions?
Yeah, let's do one more. Let's see. You prefer characters that are damaged as a child but are fine years after years with no sense of emotion, or simply a character that won't quit despite their death? What I mean by that, I assume you mean like childhood trauma. Make a very interesting character if handled correctly, because then it depends on what type of trauma you're talking about. Like if it was abuse or if it was some sort of. Uh, but I would be very interested to see what that does to them. A lot of emotional abuse, and she's by far the most interesting of the main cast.
What if Pyrrha came back but evil? Alright, no. No.
Hallucination or like a twisted grim version that briefly appears but nothing more.
I want zombie Grim. I want like a Grim that latches on to the head of a human and controls them. So it's like a moral dilemma. Do we kill it? Or no, we're killing the human with it.
Grim. A grim that could take the form of someone that somebody loved and then make a twisted version of it. I need that in my life.
It's sort of like an emotional Grim. It doesn't kill you, but it sees a loved one get fucked up. And yes, like a head crab enclave. So yeah, like a head crab Grim, dude. I would love a head crab Grim.
It could actually someone very easily if it got close enough. Doppelganger Grim. Possibly, but I prefer the idea of a Skinwalker Grim. Sounds much more terrifying. Wearing the person as a coat. Pushed through as a child soldier kind of thing.
Do you want a xenomorph Grim? No. Though I do want some sort of overpowered Grim though. Like I love the fact that at the end of Volume 4 they were just fighting one Grim, the Knucklevy. I think that's how you say it, right?
Yeah, the Knucklevy.
Yeah. It's like I love elite Grim like that you could just fight forever. Just like have a feud lasting several episodes with, where you learn how it behaves, shit like that.
Something like the Mongolian death worm in Vacua would be really terrifying.
That would be amazing.
Oh, Jeanette, by the way, better. She is, but she just started school and she's very like busy and stuff. So we're trying to work out the schedule to be more accommodating for her. I think we basically covered everything.
Yeah, I have nothing else to say. Unless the audience has like, I'll choose one more question. One more question from the audience, and then I'll let Thomas take it away.
5 more, 1. So who's the lucky person gonna be? Yeah, there was a Grim Hydra. It was in the manga. Vision of the King Taiji-2s.
Oh, I really like this one. What medium do you think RWBY is best suited to be? Or what medium do you think RWBY is best suited to outside animation and movies? Do you think RWBY would have been the same? I think he's basically trying to ask: should it be an animation? Should it be a show? Should it be a movie? Should it be a book? Should it be a manga? I think that RWBY would have been great if it were just a manga. I think that if
totally agree.
I think that if they made all of the episodes that they have on YouTube right now into a manga, the manga would be pretty good. The manga would be like, because when you're reading manga and stuff, it's a different sort of story structure, honestly, because it's hard to describe. Where once you have something on the internet, it's a lot easier to compile information and just go back and watch some of that sort of stuff and take notes on it. But with manga and reading comic books and stuff, people aren't very conscious about plot holes and shit like that for some reason, I've noticed. So RWBY would fit very well into something that's an ever-changing, expanding universe, such as a manga or some sort of written medium, some sort of written entertainment. Ugh.
I think
Um,
the reason for that is something that Sailor Moon Crystal was having trouble with for its first 2 seasons, sticking so close to the manga. And that's when you're reading a manga or a comic, your brain is filling in gaps that don't really exist between the panels.
yes.
You can
Yeah,
read it
yeah.
at your own pace, whereas animation is the same pace for everyone. And plus, you don't have to worry about budgetary constraints because it's literally the limitation of what you can draw.
You don't have to worry about sound effects, voices, music, anything else. The reader does all that for themselves.
I would miss the music.
I would miss the music too, but I do think that I wouldn't be surprised if there were some book series out there and some manga series who don't have anything on TV yet that have a soundtrack where it's just like, oh, buy the soundtrack. Doesn't play anywhere, but it's just, you know.
As long as I get my music as long as I get my Williams fix. Yeah, I think that's about it. Because yeah, we planned this for 3 and he woke up literally right on the dot.
That is that is like one of the most depressing things I have to admit to.
I have the opposite of Crow's bad luck. I have good luck.
This is the end of the line. Yeah, it is the end of the line. It's time to say goodbye.
I'm gonna kill you for that fucking pun.
Um,
The end of the beginning.
I'll Taiga. Maybe save your question for a possible next time.
Carve it into your skin so you never forget.
Yes. Um, but yeah, I guess, would you like me to take it away?
Well, we have to have my traditional ending line, of course.
True. Okay. Well, if you guys want, just, my Discord, you will be able to read RWBY and RTF and all that other stuff. Follow my Twitter, subscribe to my YouTube, join my Discord. Don't do anything else. Everything else this man tells you is a lie.
I'll throw the link to your Discord in the description.
Nice. But yes, if you really want to read that, it is for free. You are allowed to join the Discord for free, read it for free, and keep up with updates for free. I am starting a Patreon though, very, very soon. Probably at like either 9 or 10k subs. Because I don't want to just do it out of nowhere. I want to hit a milestone first. And I could just be talking out of nowhere, but you know, I don't know if I want to do Patreon yet. I want to make sure that I have people that would be a patron, because when I did start up a Patreon at like 5,000 subs, I had 1 patron, and that was embarrassing. So I'm gonna make sure I at least have more than 5. You know.
That 1 patron though, looking at you, Dave. I don't know the name of it. I'm just going with Dave.
Okay, but yeah, all my shit will be in my Discord. All the links to Mr. Unicorn of War stuff is also in the link. Thank you for having me on and allowing me to talk about my rewrite and all my other shit, you know? Go on with whatever your statement is.
Well, this was quite fun. Thank you so much for joining us today, Muffin, as well as the chat. It has been a time of sin and puns and other weird stuff that I'd rather not discuss in public. This is the Unicorn of War, and that is Muffin Man Dan.
Ciao.
And a shit show.
Is this where I hit end stream?
This is embarrassing.